Hello, my name is Alex, and I'm a creep and or scumbag on the internet with a weird love for the Japanese genre of entertainment known as Tokusatsu. Tokusatsu, or Japanese special effects shows, are a category of media that revolves around utilizing various kinds of special effects in a live-action environment. The genre spans many different series, such as Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman. Or, to the common American viewer, Godzilla and Power Rangers. Tokusatsu, much like anime, has long-running series that change designs, characters, and story every year or so each season can be viewed on its own without prior knowledge to the series that came before it. Unless you're watching a sequel series, or any of the movies, or a series that relies on the viewer having heavy knowledge of the franchise. You know what? Never mind. So this series is about my quest to meander around talking about these shows while trying to find some kind of deep meaning in them in order to give this series some kind of gimmick that doesn't involve a complex storyline. Hopefully you stopped listening at this point, and now I can continue to scream at my wall about the 50-episode snuff film known as Kamen Rider Ghost.
Yes, I'll be here when the morning comes. I'll be right here and I ain't gonna run.
In the October of 2015, Kamen Rider Ghost, the 45th anniversary of the long-running franchise, made its debut, running until its finale in September 2016. The series revolves around teenage hobo Tenkuji Takaru, dying several times during his encounters with the evil eyeball spirits, except not really because disconnection between riders, known as the Ganma, and him going on a quest to find 2 1/7 sets of dragon eyeballs. Also, infinite potential and takoyaki and something else, I don't know. Plot summarization anyway! The first 11 episodes are centered around the quest to find the 15 icons in 99 days, so that Takaru can be revived. On his quest, he meets several people whose ideologies connect with the souls of the legendary heroes, which allows for the summoning of the icons. However, the Ganma are also after the icons, and so is Kamen Rider Spectre, who's trying to revive his sister. Basically repeat the same plot for 8 to 9 episodes and add a climax involving the usage of all 15 icons and the revival of Spectre's sister, and you've got the opening arc for the series. Did I mention that those first episodes took place over 99 days in universe? After that, the 15 icons are split up, and now they can possess people. Because I guess they're sentient now. Because I guess the writers realized that the icons are based off real people. Which is kind of stupid if you think about it. I mean, the whole point of the heroic icons is that they're the spirits of people that... Now the plot revolves around learning the philosophies of the individual icons, and this new rider, Kamen Rider Necrom, learning about the spirit of humanity. I actually have no complaints about that. It's actually the best part of the series. Then we go towards defeating the 15 immortal eldritch horrors known as the Ganmisers, and then defeating some gold dude. Also, Spectre becomes a good guy, then a zombie, then goes to another dimension, then dies kind of, then comes back, then gets a power-up, then gets a doppelganger, then the doppelganger dies, and then he goes back to another dimension. The basic gist of what I just said is Spectre's a plot device. All of the things I just listed only exist to move the plot along, and everything about his personality only comes up when the plot needs it. Seriously, outside of his loyalty to his friends and his love for his sister, name one other character trait he has. He's the blandest character I've ever seen, because his personality is whatever the hell the writers need him to have in order to motivate everyone else without actually learning anything himself. Hell, his doppelganger gets more character development than he does, and he f***ing dies. Look, I know this plot summarization is really weird and makes no sense, and that's because I'm assuming you already know what happens in the series, and me spoiling that major plot point that wasn't a major plot point wasn't a dick move. Anyway, if you're like me and you listen to Toku plot summarizations in videos, then chances are you'll forget about it in a couple days. But that's not what I'm here for. Let's talk about my main issue with the series, that being the disconnect between the opening arc and the rest of the show. Whose idea was it to squeeze 99 days into 11 episodes? I mean, I know the opening arc is supposed to stand apart from the rest of the series, but on the other hand, why does it need to stand apart from the rest of the series? Take shows like Gaim Drive or even X-Aid. Their opening arcs were an entirely different show. They established story elements that were building up to the rest of the series. This series has a bunch of elements that are brought up in the opening arc, but they rarely appear in the rest of the series. Remember Saionji? Well, the writers did, but they cut him out around episode 11. And it's not like he was a character created for the sole purpose of introducing a power-up. He was built up as this important person, and suddenly he's dead. Also, more spoilers. And then there's the rest of the series, which, for the most part, was pretty solid. For episodes 13 through 22, then it's just bad for the most part. Still, you do have to give them some credit. Episodes 12 through 15 do help with the transition between the opening arc and the rest of the series, so there isn't a horrible disconnection between them. As we enter the rest of the show, after we get establishment for the new foundation of the series, everything proceeds to crumble and fall apart. Everything is just poorly paced, whether it be the introduction of new forms or just plot points and characters in general. And I know Kamen Rider is a giant toy commercial, but this is one of the few instances where I feel that all the new forms actually affect the pacing of the series. While the pacing does get better after going from putting 99 days in 12 episodes to 99 days in 37 episodes, it really feels rushed because until we learn about the Ganmeisers, there's really nothing keeping Takeru from getting the rest of the icons and reviving on good time. As a result, the series feels like it's going faster than it actually is. As for the story itself, there really isn't a whole lot of originality in the plot, but that can be expected from a long-running series with different stories every season. Save for Necrom's turn from evil to good. That was nice. Well, I've talked about story for long enough, and to summarize, the main issues are poor pacing, disconnection between the opening arc and the rest of the show, and Spectre being bland as toast. At this point, I'm pretty sure I've pissed off around 25% of the Toku fandom in one way or another, so let's move on to an aspect that the show does much better, the themes. Damn it, I suck at pronunciation! You have to give props to Toei. They could have gone down the route of making another dark Kamen Rider series, in which everyone dies, there's a great big moral dilemma, and nothing is okay. Not that I have a problem with that. Thankfully, while this series is like that in parts, it mostly has this underlying theme of optimism. Takeru dies several times throughout the show, and a Rider show involving multiple deaths of the same character could definitely delve into the darkest realms of the human imagination. But the show keeps things upbeat, and this optimistic tone can be seen in the main ideas surrounding this series, the strength and connections of the human spirit. To be fair, that theme usually shows up in most Tokusatsu shows, but this time there's an emphasis of how the ideas that someone stands for live on through others, even following their death. This can be seen mainly with the heroic icons, spirits that pass on the lessons and philosophies that they learned to the next generation. I guess that's why they suddenly decided to start talking. The writers realized that the theme wasn't well integrated enough in the opening arc, and decided to rectify that. Granted, some of those lessons are historically inaccurate, but you get my point. Another example is in regards to Necrom's development. He loses two of the positive influences in his life, but he carries on by taking the things they wanted to heart, making himself a better person in the process. And like the rest of the series, Ghost and Necrom get all the development in regards to those ideologies, while Spectre's development is limited to, I think, the movie, but I haven't seen it. Sorry, still harping on the blandness. Now let's talk about the other crap in this show. The action and fight scenes are pretty special effects heavy, but then again, most modern tokusatsu is, so can you blame them? Weirdly, there's no insert songs in the show, insert songs being the background vocal tracks that play during a fight scene or other event. At first I was turned off by this, as the insert songs are usually really good, poor taste be damned, and it felt like something was missing. But thankfully, the show makes up for it with its superb background music, and I actually find that music more memorable than other Rider shows, especially Necrom's theme. And don't go telling me Dive Deep was an insert theme. It wasn't. Just because it has an astonishing similarity to one of the forms doesn't make it so it is. So, overall, is Kamen Rider Ghost worth watching? Well, the optimistic ideas and positive feelings really make this series enjoyable, as well as some of the plot elements and designs. Hell, this series has some of the best ideas for a story Kamen Rider has ever had, in my opinion. But the pacing of the story really affects how those previous things come together, and the series really suffers because of it. I know some people may say that the writing itself is what holds the series back, but looking back on it, I really liked the ideas that the series was trying to go for. Except for Spectre. He really shouldn't have been there. In the end, I'd recommend watching Ghost, but only if you're willing to look past the breakneck pace of the series. While it doesn't do that very well, the plot and themes themselves are really interesting ideas, and I wish that it could have lived up to its full potential. Or infinite potential. Either or. Unless you're annoyed by repetitive plots and the fact that this show ripped off Kamen Rider Drive, in which case, 0 out of 10, too much Mugen. Seriously, I'm expecting X8's final boss to be another gold repaint if this keeps up. I'm Alex, and I just tried giving serious analysis to a Japanese show intended for children. See you never. I just realized I haven't actually explained what Kamen Rider is as a whole. Well, I'll rectify that now. Shotaro Ishinomori tried making a superhero less scary? Made scarier nevertheless.
When ghosts come out to socialize,